voice inside your head that constantly criticizes you is often referred to as the inner critic. It's that voice that tells you you're not good enough, that you're bound to fail, or that you're incapable of achieving your dreams. This inner critic has the power to undermine your confidence, erode your self-esteem, and hold you back from reaching your full potential. The worst part is that for many people, this critical voice feels like a constant companion. Whether you're trying something new or simply navigating through life's challenges, your inner critic can make you question your worth and abilities. However, the truth is that you don't have to let this voice dictate your actions, thoughts, or emotions. Learning how to overcome your inner critic is a transformative journey that can unlock the door to personal growth, happiness, and success. The first step in overcoming your inner critic is to recognize it for what it is. The inner critic is not an accurate reflection of who you are. It's a collection of negative thoughts and beliefs that have developed over time. These beliefs often stem from past experiences, societal pressures, or messages you've internalized throughout your life. Whether it's the pressure to meet certain expectations, the fear of making mistakes, or the influence of past failures, the inner critic thrives on these negative narratives. It whispers doubts, amplifies insecurities, and paints a picture of your capabilities in a distorted and harmful way. Understanding that this voice doesn't represent your true self is essential in the battle to overcome it. The inner critic feeds on your vulnerabilities and magnifies your perceived flaws. It often exaggerates the consequences of failure, making it seem like the end of the world. However, when you take a step back and objectively assess the situation, you may find that the fears and doubts perpetuated by your inner critic are often unfounded. The key is to challenge the voice of self-doubt and replace it with more rational, compassionate thoughts. The next step in overcoming your inner critic is to practice mindfulness. Mindfulness is the ability to stay present and observe your thoughts without judgment. By cultivating mindfulness, you can create a sense of distance between yourself and the inner critic. Instead of identifying with the negative thoughts that arise in your mind, you can recognize them as just thoughts, temporary and not necessarily reflective of reality. When you start to observe your thoughts from a place of detachment, you can begin to notice patterns in your thinking. You may recognize that your inner critic tends to repeat certain phrases or themes. These repetitive thoughts can lose their power when you no longer attach meaning or emotion to them. Another powerful tool in silencing your inner critic is self-compassion. When your inner critic speaks up, it often brings with it feelings of shame, guilt, and unworthiness. It can make you feel like you're not good enough, or that you need to be perfect to be loved and accepted. Self-compassion is the antidote to this harshness. It involves treating yourself with the same kindness, understanding, and support that you would offer to a friend going through a tough time. Instead of berating yourself for your mistakes or shortcomings, self-compassion encourages you to acknowledge your humanity. You are not a failure for having flaws or making mistakes. In fact, it's these very experiences that make you more resilient and capable of growth. By showing yourself compassion, you can replace the voice of the inner critic with one that is nurturing and empowering. Part of overcoming your inner critic also involves reframing your thoughts. Reframing is the process of changing the way you interpret a situation. Instead of seeing failure as a reflection of your worth, try to view it as an opportunity for growth. Instead of focusing on your shortcomings, direct your attention to your strengths and accomplishments. The inner critic often magnifies your weaknesses and minimizes your successes, but reframing helps you shift this perspective. When you encounter challenges, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? And what strengths can I draw upon to overcome this? By shifting your focus to solutions and possibilities, you diminish the power of the inner critic and empower yourself to take action. Another effective technique for quieting your inner critic is to challenge its validity. Ask yourself whether the thoughts and beliefs being propagated by the inner critic are grounded in reality. For example, if your inner critic is telling you that you're not good enough to pursue your dreams, ask yourself, is there any evidence to support this belief? Often you'll find that the answer is no. In fact, many times the inner critic's voice is based on unfounded fears, assumptions, or exaggerated conclusions. By challenging these beliefs, you begin to break down the authority of the inner critic and replace its negative narrative with a more rational and empowering one. Creating new, empowering affirmations is another strategy to silence your inner critic. These affirmations serve as positive, empowering statements that counter the negative beliefs you hold about yourself. For example, instead of allowing your inner critic to tell you that you're not smart enough or capable enough, replace that thought with an affirmation like, "I am capable of learning and growing," or "I have the skills and resilience to overcome challenges." By consistently repeating these affirmations, you begin to rewire your brain and shift your mindset towards self-belief and confidence. Over time, these positive affirmations can become more ingrained in your thoughts, helping to replace the inner critic's voice with one that supports and encourages you. Additionally, you can benefit from setting realistic goals and celebrating small victories. The inner critic often thrives when you feel overwhelmed by the enormity of a task or the fear of failure. Breaking down larger goals into smaller, achievable steps allows you to take action without feeling paralyzed by self-doubt. Each time you accomplish a small step, celebrate it. These celebrations serve as reminders that you are capable, competent, and deserving of success. The more you acknowledge your progress, the less power your inner critic will have over your sense of self-worth. Instead of focusing on what you haven't achieved yet, take pride in what you have accomplished. Surrounding yourself with supportive people is another essential part of overcoming your inner critic. The people you interact with have a significant impact on how you view yourself. If you are constantly surrounded by individuals who reinforce negative beliefs about you, it can be difficult to break free from the grip of the inner critic. On the other hand, being around people who encourage you, offer constructive feedback, and remind you of your strengths can help counterbalance the negative self-talk. Positive relationships can act as a mirror, reflecting your worth and potential back to you. When your inner critic tries to tell you that you're not good enough, the support of others can help you see yourself in a more balanced and empowering light. Another important aspect of overcoming your inner critic is to embrace imperfection. Perfectionism is often a key driver of the inner critic. The desire to be flawless and achieve unrealistically high standards can fuel feelings of inadequacy and failure. Learning to accept that mistakes and imperfections are part of the human experience is liberating. Instead of striving for perfection, focus on progress and growth. Every step you take toward your goals, even if it's not perfect, brings you closer to the person you are meant to become. By letting go of perfectionism, you reduce the power of the inner critic and create space for self-acceptance and peace. Finally, it's essential to practice patience with yourself. Overcoming your inner critic is not an overnight process. It takes time, effort, and persistence. You may find that, at times, the inner critic feels louder than usual, or that it resurfaces when you face new challenges. However, with each practice of mindfulness, self-compassion, and reframing, you strengthen your ability to silence the critical voice. Be kind to yourself as you work through this journey. Change takes time, and healing is not linear. Celebrate each step forward, no matter how small, and trust that the more you engage in these practices, the quieter your inner critic will become.